In episode 13 of So Say We Travel the podcast, we will discuss our favorite ways to pass time whenever we're stuck inside of our RV.
Including our favorite family games, new twists on old hobbies, and how we balance spending time together and maintaining our individual interests.
And finally, we will be trying something new with our Battlestar Galactica Episode Reviews.
For the next few podcasts, we'll be reviewing and posting them as separate videos exclusively on our YouTube channel.
Welcome aboard to So Say We Travel. Hi, I'm Sean.
Hi, I'm Charlie.
And we are So Say We Travel. And this is our 13th podcast episode. And at the beginning of every episode, I like to share why we got into doing these in the first place. When we first started, we were just weekend warriors transitioning from our sticks and bricks to moving into full-time RV life. We wanted to document those experiences and share those experiences with anyone who might be interested in following in our footsteps. Personally, I believe that experience is interchangeable with
knowledge.
And so hopefully by us sharing our experiences, we'll share some knowledge with you that hopefully make your life better, your process going from sticks and bricks to full-time RV life, and then beyond, because now we're sharing our experiences living in it full-time and learning the ropes with that. Hopefully streamline your experience there, commensurate with you, hopefully avoid some pitfalls, some mistakes that we've made in the process. But yeah, so update. Since our last episode, lots of things have happened. But it's the usual routine. Our normal, every fall, it's crazy for us because we have kids that are heavily involved with a lot of different things. This year we threw into the mix some homeschooling. And again, so just the usual busy life. None of it, very little of it has to do with living in an RV. Most of it is just our everyday life living in the fall. As far as living in the RV, we've settled into that routine just fine. But again, this year we've got a high schooler doing all the fall things. So it's fall season in Texas. So that's Friday night football games. Homecoming's coming up. So we did some dress shopping with both of the teenagers, which was interesting experience in itself. They're growing up and you want them to stop. Stop growing up, but they're growing up. They're going to go to these dances. They want to wear these dresses. They want to look beautiful, and they look absolutely beautiful.
But it's like,
part of you as a parent, you're like, do you have to wear that dress? But they love it. We love them. So they're enjoying it. And that's good. That's really, really good. But like I said, this year is a little different for us. We add something new to the mix, not just living in an RV, but homeschooling. So you've been spending time with Maddie, doing the co-op on Wednesdays, but you've also started doing something else that you wanted to do, but you actually got to take advantage of.
So we started horseback riding lessons. And so it's always something that she's wanted to do. I mean, every time we go to like festivals and stuff, she always wants to do pony rides and stuff like that. But it's always, she's always talked about how she wanted to ride a horse, and so I really wanted to look into horse back riding lessons. That way she gets the full experience of it, not just like those pony rides, that we go to in festivals and stuff like that. She can actually learn how to do it, for real. So we've only had one lesson so far, because of the weather last week. We weren't able to do it this past week, but we've done it once.
You did a lot though.
We did a lot. So they start off with just brushing the horse, learning how to brush the horse. Apparently there's like 3 different brushes that you have to use. There's like curry brush, and there's like stiff brush, and then it's a whole process. You have to get ready to ride the horse. And then cleaning their hooves too, to teach them to do that. And then she walked the horse to the little corral thing that they go to. And then she got on the horse, and they actually teach bareback first. So I was really surprised and shocked about that. They teach them to ride bareback because it actually helps with balancing. Instead of putting them in a saddle first thing, they actually teach them to ride bareback, and it helps with balancing. So she was like putting her arm out like one at a time, and then having her like touch her nose while she was holding the reins, because it helps with that balance, and it helps if she starts leaning to one side to help kind of position herself back, and so the instructor kind of walked her through that. A couple times she was like really, really nervous because she was starting to slip, and the instructor was really good about take a deep breath, that the horse can feel, if you're scared or agitated or something like that. So they teach them all that stuff. So it was really cool. It was really, really interesting. She loved it. I loved it. And so, I mean, we plan on going once a week. Like I said, we couldn't go this past week because of the weather, but she's excited to go to her next one. She can't wait to see her horse. Her horse name's Spicy.
Spicy.
She talks about Spicy all the time.
That's an interesting name.
Yeah, and she actually works with the same horse every time too. So she builds that relationship with the horse too. That's part of the lesson.
I know we were kind of surprised that they did as much as they did in the first lesson. I know that's something that you wanted because you experienced it as a kid, that you had to learn the work part. It's not all it's all not all sunshine and rainbows and magical unicorns jumping over stuff. There's a work side of working with the horse, and it was important for you that she got to experience that. And
because I rode horses when I was a kid. I helped out at like special need farms and stuff like that. So I always had to clean the horse's stall first. And you had to brush the horse, you had to bathe the horse and stuff like that. So that's how I learned. I had to do all of that stuff before I was allowed to ride. Yeah. So that I told them that that's what I wanted for her too. Yeah. Just to take care of the horse before you get to ride it.
Those good life lessons. So you not only is she learning about horses and their anatomy and how they work and how to ride them and how to be with them. Right. But she's also learning that you can't just have all fun. Right. There's a work side to making these things happen.
It's an animal. You know, like you have to care for this animal if you want it to care for you. Build that relationship with the horse.
That's really cool. And you probably would learn that in other ways in a public school classroom, but probably not that hands-on and that extreme personal responsibility.
And it's during the day, right? So it's early in the morning when everybody else is at school. So she gets like kind of that one-on-one experience.
That's so cool.
There are a couple other people there as well, but it's not like a Saturday afternoon where they have like 20 or 30 kids that they're teaching these massive lessons to. So I like the freedom again that she gets kind of that one-on-one, and
that's on a Wednesday as well, right? So but her co-op is on Wednesday afternoon. So in the morning she's doing the horseback riding, and the Wednesday she's got her co-op in the afternoon, and those classes experience with other students shift. Yes. So she did some art. She's done some art before. She's done the career kind of tech. Yeah. She's done the PE. So it's on Wednesday she's kind of getting her varied instruction, and then y'all are plugging in the different subjects Monday, during the week. Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's cool. That's awesome. How's your part-time work plugging into all that?
I should probably be working more than I am. Yeah. And I really want to. But I'm still balancing it all and figuring out how to balance it all. I mean, I'm still getting my hours. I'm still working. Yeah. But I need to balance it better.
So and the reason I asked you that is because we don't want to glorify or gloss over the lack of a better word, ugly parts of this. Right. We don't have all the answers at all. We're trying to figure out what's best for us. And we're hoping that by sharing that with you, you can either learn what to do or what not to do, given your own personal life journey and the way you want to approach this. Yeah. So we're trying to sort out, because again, we need to be able to make sure that this part-time jobs that we're taking on are feasible. So we have to figure our budget. Right. I know we said in a couple of episodes back that we wanted to start tracking our budget, once we started in August. It's October 2nd. We're committing to doing it this month. We are, yes, just like finally. We committed back in August to do it, and we haven't done it for August or September because it's just life happens and these things slip through the cracks. But these are things that we really want to do. We want to track our budget, track our expenses, make sure that the income we've got is sustainable when we go on the road. So hoping that y'all will hold us accountable. We're trying to hold ourselves accountable. But again, just the point, the reason I asked her that, kind of put her on the spot, is just we don't want to make it seem like this is all, we've got it all figured out. Right. We're figuring it out right now. We are. And we're trying to figure it out and share that with you. Yes. Something really cool, though, happened yesterday. It was Apollo's Gotcha Day. Yeah. Yeah, it was. And most other holidays that people are reminded of, you were reminded through social media memories, I imagine. Yes. Yes. He's not a kid. He's a dog. He's we don't remember exactly what day we went and got him. Yes. But he has a Gotcha Day. So he doesn't have a birthday because we don't know how old he was. But yeah, we celebrate his Gotcha Day because that's the day we adopted him. Yes. So we adopted him 5 years ago yesterday. So we kind of did a little birthday thing with him. Yes. Gave him some treats. Yeah. He lives his best life every day, honestly. He's so spoiled. He is. He sucks up AC. He comes inside when he wants to go. He's just big baby. Yes. He's living his best life. Yes. And I think it's special that he has a Gotcha Day and not a birthday. There's a difference between Hilo and Apollo. Oh yeah. dog that you know that you have as a puppy versus one you're giving a home to, trying to make his life better. And I like to believe that we really, really did. If you want to know more about Hio and Apollo in depth, if you missed our last episode, we talk about them a lot and how living in this RV, living in the Galactica with them goes. So feel free to check that out. But yeah, we celebrated Apollo's 5th Gotcha Day. So we've had him for 5 years. We know we've had him for 5 years. They said he was
at least 2.
At least 2 when we got him. We were looking at some of the photos yesterday of when we first got him versus now. Yeah. He has a lot of white, a lot of white over the. So we didn't
even realize how much he's like changed over the years. And so I started looking at the pictures.
He's a bigger dog, you know. Yeah. So it's not something we really want to think about, but he's probably a lot further along than what we thought. So. Yeah. But we're just, that's probably why he's all about his comfort right now, and we're more than happy to give it to him. Yes. But yeah, happy 5th Gotcha Day, Apollo. Feel free to leave him a happy Gotcha Day in the comments if you want. Trips. Yes. So the last trip that we took living full time was what? Kerrville.
Yes. Back in August.
Oh my God, that was forever ago. I was like, you got the itch. Yeah. We gotta go somewhere.
It's hard. We can't really go anywhere because Peyton has her football,
Friday night in Texas.
Cheering and stuff. So we can't do any weekend trips or anything right now because she gets home really late. Like last time I picked her up at like 11 o'clock. I think next week she'll probably be home even later because they go even further away. So we can't do the weekends or anything right now. However, because you are now working part-time and remotely, and I have the holidays afforded to me by being a teacher, and it being my last year, I'm cashing in some time off days. Yes, you've racked up a lot of time off over the last
7 years. Yes, I really don't take a lot of time off. I like to work, and so now it's my last year, and if I don't use these days, I lose them. So I got to start cashing them in. Yeah. So that's affording us a lot more time to take some trips, and we've got them lined up. Yes. Next week, we're going to be traveling to not so far away from here.
Not far, but
far enough.
It's an important one.
Yes, and it's a really little sleepy town. We're going to spend some time with our friends Vincent Van Ghostagram. Yep. Matt and Tina. They're actually,
we did a video with them a few episodes back. So and their van, check that out.
And Vinny, their van. Yeah, definitely check it out. They are beautiful people, salt of the earth. Yes. And I couldn't be more happy for them. And we're
so excited.
Get to be there with them when they tie the knot. That's going to be next weekend. So we're going to take a trip for the weekend. And then after that, it'll be Granger. We're going out to our favorite spot out there in Granger, Texas, out at Wilson H. Park. Again, Charlie's working remotely, and Granger is only about 45 minutes away from here, but it's only about 30 minutes away from where I work. Right. So I can commute from there. Yeah. But I've cashed in some of those days to where I'm not having to commute as much. Yeah. So it's going to be a nice week that we'll spend out there in the middle of nowhere. It's a Army Corps of Engineers campsite. If you're interested at all in learning more about Wilson H. Fox, we actually did a video breakdown on all the Army Corps of Engineer campsites around here. Plugging so many of our videos in this intro. It's crazy. But yeah, like it's a great spot. I would say it's a step above boondocking. Yes. But it's separated enough. There's not a lot of people out there. And I'm very curious to see what it's like in the off season, like living there full time through the week.
For a week. Yeah.
It's good. I'm so excited. It's going to be great. Yes. And then following that, we're going to be doing Louisiana. Yes. In the holiday season. Get to visit some family, spend some time down there with family.
Which I'm excited because we've never been able to do that, right? No. Because of my job, you've always had the holidays and stuff to take off. But I've never been able to do that just because with my job, I wasn't able to. I could take off like a day or two, but the holidays for my job was the busiest time of year. Because I worked in an optometry office, so our busiest time is the end of the year because everybody's trying to use their benefits. So we weren't allowed to take off during that time. However, now that I work remotely, I can do that because I can do work from there. Yes. So I'm really excited about that to finally go spend the holidays with family.
It's my favorite holiday, Thanksgiving, because I love eating. Yes. It's going to be with my favorite people. My family, and then my family. First one in a long time being home, and I couldn't be more excited. It's going to be great, and they're just wonderful. They love the family, they love on us, and every time we leave, we're like, oh my God, I wish you didn't have to go. Yes. Soon we'll be able to stay longer, and at our will. So anyway, but then something that's on our radar. We haven't yet finalized. We're working on probably be the longest trip that we'll be taking in the Galactica to date. The end of the holiday season, we're going to go northeast to Kentucky. Yes. Kentucky. To visit Charlie's family. Yes. I'm absolutely excited. this is for our calendar. And then I'm excited even more so to be able to do this full time. I was talking with you a couple of days ago about that the idea of, we were driving, where were we driving to?
I don't know.
I think we were driving north, about 45 minutes away, but I knew we had to come back.
Oh, yes.
And I was just like, whenever you drive somewhere, you're excited about getting to the place. But getting to the place is always like dampened by the fact that you have to make a return trip.
Right.
Like some people, probably not. But for a lot of us, we're like, yeah, I got to drive a long way to get there. And I'm excited. I'm fine with the drive to get there because I'm so excited to get there. But while you're traveling to the thing and while you're doing the thing, you're like, man,
you got to make this drive.
I can't let my hair down too far, okay, because I got to turn around and do it all the way back. I was like, there's something cool. And there's going to be a totally different mind shift and experience in knowing that you're always moving forward. There is no driving back.
Right.
Like every destination you set, you're going. You're always going, always going, always going. There's only things to look forward to. You're not have to like regress or come back anywhere. And I'm just excited to experience that and see what that mindset would be like. I can't wait.
Yeah.
It is fall. And I think we talked about in our last episode where we were going to get a cold front coming in. It lasted for like a good
day or two.
2 days.
But it was nice. That's all it was here. We're like, yay, let's go buy all the stuff. Let's go buy the long sleeves. Let's go buy the sweaters. And they're still with Texas.
Good old Texas. Good old Texas. Fall in Texas. It went down from like 100 degrees to 90 degrees. Yeah. You can feel the difference. Yes. But you're still hot at 90 degrees. Yes. The cool thing though is that the mornings are less brutal. It's really, really hot at the peak of the day. Right now about this time, we would have to wait until like 7 or 8 o'clock to film a podcast at this hour in the evening. We got to start right at 6, because the weather is kind of cooling down by that point. Yes. So that's better. The quality of life changed a little bit, but it's still Texas summer. And so we got some cool, but with the cool came some rain. Yes. Lots of rain. Rain. And that actually drew us inside quite a bit. And so I started thinking about what would be a good thing to talk about for a podcast. And I thought it'd be great to reflect and talk about some things that we do inside our RV, that things that we way to pass time. It's 250 square feet. You have to find ways to occupy your time together and separately. Otherwise, you would climb in the walls. You would climb. It's a small space. There's no way around it. It's a small space. You just have to learn how to be content and comfortable in that small space. And there's tons of different things you can do to do that. When we got the RV, when we first started shopping, we had only planned for it to be something that we did things out of. Like we're only going to be weekend warriors and we're going to be traveling where the weather is ideal. We wouldn't be in it when weather was bad and we'd be forced to stay inside. So as we got in and started traveling though, and we started traveling regularly and often and during the winter, like we were kind of, because we didn't get it, we wanted to get it in July. Yes. But we didn't get it until September. So right when we got our RV, we were already in cold Texas weather. So we kind of forced to stay inside. And so we found lots of different ways to entertain ourselves together. Things that we did in our sticks and bricks, we brought over. They had to be converted, had to be changed quite a bit in order to be able to be done in here. But some stuff, they go just fine. So they're things that we do together as a family, but they kind of suit really well to being stuck inside an RV. The first thing that I'm going to mention in particular, we do a lot of games. We do. Electronic and unelectronic, a whole bunch of different games. We actually used to have a leaderboard up in our sticks and bricks about who won the games and everything. So we're going to try and bring that back. Definitely find a way to put it up in the Galactica. Also, maybe possibly doing some Twitch streams of family game night, maybe that y'all can watch us play our favorite games together. I don't know. Something I'm toying with in my head. But one of our favorites to play is Unstable Unicorns. And this is on the back of the box. It says, build a unicorn army. Betray your friends. Unicorns are your friends now. And on unstablegames.com, who makes Unstable Unicorns, says that Unstable Unicorns is a strategic card game that will destroy your friendships, but in a good way. The game was one of Kickstarter's top 100 most backed projects of all time and won the 2019 People's Choice Award for Toy of the Year. They recommend 2 to 8 players. It's about 30 to 60 minute playtime. They can be really quick games or very long games.
I don't recommend it with 2 people, though. I think it's kind of boring if there's 2. You got to have at least 3.
It is playable. Opinion. It is playable, yes, but it's
way more fun with
3 plus.
At least 3,
Then ages 8+, so Maddie definitely gets to play with us.
She does.
It took her a little bit to get the concept of them, but once she learned it, though,
she was the X factor in our games. Before she really understood how to do it, she was just throwing cards down there. And we're like,
and you let's explain in a bit why she was the X factor for that. But they have multiple expansions to expand the original deck. They have the dragons, they have adventures, and Rainbow Apocalypse, a bunch of many other ones. Essentially, the game, you start out with baby unicorns.
Yes.
And your goal is to get 7 unicorns in your army. Once you get 7 unicorns in your stable in front of you, you win. There's tons of other cards that upgrade your stable, that make you more resistant to attacks, stop your unicorns from being destroyed.
Yes.
And there's other cards that make your life absolutely miserable.
Yes.
Absolutely miserable. And there's some of these things they have in there. Sadistic Ritual was one of the harsh ones. It's every time you take a turn, you have to sacrifice one of the horses in your unicorns in your stable. So like when you put that on someone, it's just like the most terrible thing you could do to someone playing the game. And
there are ways to get rid of it, though.
Definitely,
you can get rid of it. It just, you have to have the right card.
And the unicorns, and they're absolutely amazing. You have like Necromancer, you have Star Spangled Banner unicorn, and with these different titles, stabby. They have Rhinoceros unicorn. You know, there's all the different types of unicorns. They have different abilities. Yes. Then there's magic that they can do and things like that. And it's such a fun game.
It is a lot of fun.
And the game changes because every time you deal the cards out, different hand shifts what's going on. So that's why you don't ever know what's going to happen. Really, you don't. But we called Maddie the X Factor because a lot of the time she didn't know the consequences of the cards that she would play. Yes. She wasn't playing strategically. She was just putting cards down. So when we play with the 4 of us or 5 of us, and then we always you had your own plan in your mind, but then you had to factor in, you have absolutely nothing, no idea what Maddie was going to do, because she would just play and so she would do stuff to herself that would harm other people. And she had no idea. It was, anyway, like I said, we haven't severed any family ties yet. Gotten pretty close. Yeah. Almost like Monopoly. Yeah. Not as bad as Monopoly, but pretty close.
It can drag on like Monopoly, though. It can.
And some pretty brutal things, but some pretty hilarious things. And then they have the different expansions, and the different horses that have come up are hilarious. The art style is beautiful on all the cards. And again, you can play it at a really basic level, but if you know the hands, know the deck, know the cards, you can play this game at a very, very high level too. You have some really interesting and fun games. So that's Unstable Unicorns. And then, of course, we have a classic. Is Uno. We love some Uno. That game is pretty universal. It's a classic card game that's easy to pick up and impossible to put down, quite literally, because you're trying to get rid of all your cards. But anyway, players take turns matching cards in their hand with the current card shown on top of the deck, either by color or by number. Special action cards deliver game-changing moments as they help you defeat your opponents. These include skips, reverses, draw 2s, wild, and draw 4 wild cards. That's from MattelGames.com. If you can't make a match, you must draw from the central pile. And when you're down to 1 card, you can't forget to yell, Uno! And the first player to rid themselves of all the cards in their hand before their opponents wins. So it's this fun race of matching cards, going around in a circle, matching cards, dumping cards out of your hand, but also being forced to draw cards because you can't match the cards. Right. And then if you forget to say Uno, someone calls you on it, so you have to put more cards in your hand. Yep. And then the one you least expect ends up being the one just by a turn, the game is over. I've had Uno games that last forever. Yeah. I've had Uno games that over really, really quickly. It is so fun. And it's almost like Speed, but it's got more variables to it. And again, it's way more family friendly. It's more accessible because
it's easy to understand.
Yeah, it tells you exactly what to do on the card. So Maddie can definitely play with us. The deck that we have is a waterproof one. We'll put a link in the description where we got it from. But that's really great for us. We've taken it to the beach. We play with it outside because, again, we're in the RV and we're playing outside. We can't have the cards getting wet and soggy, things like that.
Yeah. And then they don't get dirty either, because you can wipe them clean and stuff like that. So not only the waterproof, they clean better. So they're not bent over. You know how you get that old stack of cards where you can tell which one it is because just the way that it looks. But yeah, you don't get that with these cards. So
so it's hard plastic, but not only that, they have this hole punched in the corner where you can put a carabiner or a D-ring through them, all of them, to keep them all together. So yeah, that's really worked out for us. Something I didn't mention, and now we're finished talking about both the card games, is when we first started playing with Maddie, she'd have tiny little hands trying to hold so many cards. So we bought her this little hand holder thing. We'll link that in the description in case you have some little ones that want to play these games with you as well. It really worked out, helped for her, and they were able to hold like
because it's a little holder thing, and then you just put
all the cards in, and she can pull it out and see all of them. Yeah, because she just couldn't do it, so she'd keep them in a stack, and then it would be her turn. We'd have to wait for her to scroll through this. Oh, little Maddie. Oh my goodness. And so those are two kind of analog games that we enjoy. And the one that we've played for a really long time and had an absolute blast with is Mario Party on the Nintendo Switch. That game is described as on Nintendo.com as super fun, charged friends for friends and family. You turn the table on your opponents as you race across a board game to collect the most stars in the original 4-player Mario Party series board game mode. It's a board game. It's a board game, but it's all digital, which is a really cool thing. It's got, but not only is it a board game, but after every 4 turns, you play mini games together where it randomly assigns you to who you have teams, you have solo games, you have some that are coin based. It's such a fun game. It's such a family friendly game. And then playing it on the Switch, it's very accessible again, because if suppose you're boondocking, right, you can charge the Switch and then take the Switch off, and put the little central hub, the screen up, and then everyone play with the controllers looking at the small screen. You don't have to be hooked up to a TV to play. You can charge it beforehand whenever you do have power, or maybe off a charging station. And then, like I said, you can play the game, and it really doesn't drain the power too bad at all. You can set the game to how long you want them to last based on the turns. It can go from an hour to 2 hours, right? So an hour of gameplay on the Switch isn't going to drain the battery at all. So you can probably get about 2 or 3 games in, before you really have to charge again. And it's a great way to pass time. So what are some thoughts of yours about the Mario Party?
I mean, it's fun. Like, it's because we can all play it. Well, if we have tonight with this, we have to alternate and take turns. But you can do up to 4 players. It's fun because you can do the board game, but you can also do the
there's a little challenge, like
the dancing one, and then there's the one like on the boat. So all 4 of you have to maneuver like down the river and stuff like that, and then it has mini games along the way. So it has lots of different options.
It's so much game, right? There's a lot of game, a lot of way to pass the time in a pretty small package. It's a lot of way to occupy your time in a pretty small package.
And I mean, like you said, you can play for hours. Even if you are hooked, not hooked up, but if you are hooked up and it's charging, I mean, you can play for hours, keep you busy while it's raining. So
it's portable and accessible, and when weight matters, games like things that can occupy time, like Unstable Unicorns, small. Uno, small. Nintendo Switch Mario Party, small. like these things don't take up a lot of weight, but they provide us with lots of entertainment that we can do together as a family inside our RV when we can't be outside. Another one that we really enjoy is
Connect 4.
Connect 4.
It's a fun one. I mean, the classic one, the board game that you have that with the thing with the legs on it, and the chips or whatever. We have that, but we also have an outside one too. But since we're talking about indoors, we'll talk about the indoor one. But it's regular, it's easy. Maddie can play it, it's easy to understand, so she really likes that one. The outdoor one is a lot more fun because it's a giant one, to play outside. So on Hasbro.com, it says, challenge a friend to disc dropping fun with the classic game of Connect 4. Drop your red or yellow disc in the grid and be the first one to get 4 in a row to win. If your opponent is getting too close to 4 in a row, block them with your own disc. Whoever wins can pull out the slider bar and release all the discs to start over for fun all over again.
I love how they put that as a reward. Like that satisfying, like when you pull a thing out, they just fall everywhere. I didn't know that was a rule, that the person who wins got to do it. Usually it was the person who was frustrated, like that they lost, just jerks it out of there and they fall everywhere. But
I mean, that one's easy to play, and you can play it over and over and over again, and it doesn't, it can get boring after a while, but keep you busy for a little bit.
And again, it breaks down flat into a box. And it's important that we're actually mentioning these games in particular, because I was taking stock. There's a lot of people that after a year in their RV, they say, well, what did I actually use? What did I actually not use? And so when we're kind of thinking about this, like, what things do we actually use in there? We have some board games in there that we haven't even touched. Where we played them once and they weren't fun. We didn't have fun. Like, not everybody could get into them, or for some reason the learning curve was too difficult, or just the game wasn't fun for our family. So these ones that we're listing definitely going to stay. Probably going to take the other ones and donate them. Maybe we'll put a list somewhere of the ones that we have that we don't really play all the time. But so these these are all games that things can be broke down. They're portable. They're fun.
Yes.
And yep.
Yeah.
So that Connect 4 is recommended for ages 6 and up, but for 2 players. Mm-hmm. I'm old, and I still probably don't know how to play Connect 4 effectively. I honestly just throw them in there, and then if I get lucky, all I know is I start putting them in there, and then once someone gets to 3, I just start trying to stop them. And then if I get lucky and 4 happens for me trying to stop them, great. If not, that's it. Something else that we really do to pass the time, and I apologize, we have a guest apparently that wants to be part of our podcast. So if you hear him, I forgot about him.
He is complaining about something.
Yeah. So those are things that we really don't do the board games too much at home.
No.
In the sticks and bricks. I think it happened because, again, we were going out and we were weekend warriors. So when we were going out in the Galactica, we were looking to do things together.
Right.
And so we bought games, and we intentionally bought these games to try and play them together. And they've kind of just become part of what we do. Yeah. Like, and living in this house, you literally do everything together. Yeah. But not everything, right? There's got to be a balance. Right. And we'll talk more about that in a bit. But there were some hobbies that we definitely had in our sticks and bricks that we brought over into the Galactica that we're able to continue doing a little differently now. Yes. What's one of those?
Well, one of my biggest things is reading. That's what I do to pass the time. I love reading. I'm an avid reader. I've always been an avid reader. And so I had books, before.
We did have a lot of books.
And so one of the things, couldn't take them, right? No. I mean, there's no space. There's nowhere to put them. And I was always against digital books because I loved a physical book. I loved having it in my hands. I loved turning the page. I loved the smell of books. Like I had to have a physical book. And so I never was all about like the Kindles or the iPad. I didn't like it. But I had to make the adjustment when we did this because I couldn't take the books with me. I can go to the library and stuff now and get a book. But once we start traveling and stuff, that's not an option. We won't be able to go to the library and get them. So, so I had to make the switch. So again, it was the mindset where I had to adjust. I had to fall in love with the digital part of reading. And so I have an iPad. And so I had Kindle on there. And so I was getting the books on the iPad. But the thing with the iPad is it's heavy, it's a heavy device. So if I'm laying down and I'm reading, like eventually my arm is getting tired, like with the iPad, trying to hold it and stuff like that. So I started looking into the Kindles. And so I got a Kindle White. So it's only about like this big. It's really small. And it's really light. And I love it because I can hold it and like I can hold it up. I can lay down and read with it. I've seen,
yeah, it looks, it's paper.
And it's like holding paper. I mean, it's super, super light. And so I have loved it all over again because I got that. It was getting kind of frustrating with the iPad because it was so heavy. But once I got the Kindle, now I'm always on it. I'm always reading. I'm part of Kindle Unlimited, which is really nice. It's $10 a month. And you can read books all that you want. You can get as many as you want. You borrow them, put them in your library, and then you give them back. Or you don't have to give them back. They just stay in your library. As long as you keep your membership, you can keep the books on your Kindle. And then there's a program called Goodreads too, which is really awesome. Goodreads it's basically this program that like learns what you like to read. And so it suggests things. Whenever I finish, well, right now I'm reading a series of books. It's like 7 books. So whenever I get close to the end, or once I'm about to finish it, it always says, here, let's suggest this next book for you, which is always the next one in the series. But when I'm not reading a series and I finish a book, it'll say, oh, rate this book. How do you like it? 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars. So you rate the book that you really like, and then it'll suggest other ones that are similar to that. So it makes it really easy when finding what the next book to read is, because it'll just suggest something. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's read that.
I know you've read a lot of books researching homeschooling, things like that. Guilty pleasure, put you on the spot. What are you reading right now?
Now? Yes. I'm not sure what the series is called, but the first one was called like Edge of Collapse. Edge of something. I don't know. Edge of Darkness. There's like 7 of them. I think the one I'm on right now is called Edge of Valor. I think it's the last one. but it's basically about the end of the world. An EMP goes off. And so it's about this girl. It starts off with this girl who's actually in a basement. Somebody had kept her in a basement for 5 years and was actually torturing her.
Oh no! After the end of the world?
No, this is before. This is before the end of the world.
Oh, okay.
And so this EMP goes off, and all of a sudden she's able to get out of the basement.
Oh, okay.
And so she doesn't know what's going on. She all of a sudden she can get out. Like of the basement that she was stuck in.
Yeah.
And so. So she gets out, and then it's in Michigan, so and Christmas Eve is when it is. So it's snowing, it's blizzards, it's snowstorms, and she's trekking through this snowstorm trying to figure out what's going on with the world. Where she meets this guy, and this guy like is a soldier or a previous soldier, and so he's a sniper and can kill people, and so it's like
all dystopian.
Yes,
sounds awesome.
It is. It's I love dystopian novels. That's my guilty pleasure is dystopian novels. There's another one. It's Life as We Know It is one of my other favorite series. Again, it's where the moon shifts, and so it like creates this chaos of stuff that happens like with the world, where everything shuts down again.
You mentioned a really cool moment in one of the books that you're reading. You showed it to me where the person in the dystopian novel was reading the book Life as We Know It, another book that's a dystopian novel.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, it was really cool. I can't remember the author of this series right now. I feel bad.
We'll put it in the video
We'll put it in the video. Yeah. And so she actually wrote these books during quarantine. She says that in the beginning of her books, like she actually wrote them like during 2020, like with quarantine. So she makes a lot of references to kind of not what's going on in the world right now, but how it relates to being in a dystopian environment. So I mean, it's really cool. I love it. And I can't wait to read more of her books. I actually think that I'm going to read she has another series too. I think it's where a nuclear bomb goes off. And so I'm gonna try and probably read those next, because again, like I love dystopian novels. Those are my favorite.
So how many books would you say you've read since we've been living in the Galactica? Even if you just skimmed through them and got some information out of them,
at least 10.
10?
Yeah,
that's a lot. And we've been about 2 months. 10 books, right? 10 books holding them as opposed to
the little Kindle.
Kindle, right? So I remember we had probably about, I would say, a good bit of books, about 4 or 5 bookshelves.
We had a couple of them.
To read. And then I'm an artist, and so reference material, I'm always looking at half-price books, teaching books on art education, things like that. Things I was using, textbooks left over from bachelor and grad school. We had tons of books, like pounds and pounds of books, and just it's not feasible. We couldn't bring them. The way that I've kind of brought that material over is I've gotten into pocketmags.com, and I've subscribed digitally to some of my favorite magazines. And I use my iPad just fine because I also use it for multiple things, like for digital art making, Procreate, then all the digital softwares that you can use on a computer. I really don't talk about it too much, but in Sticks and Bricks, I had a 3-screen setup, built my computer, loved the space. I spent a lot of time there. I did a lot of work there. I did a lot of school there, and I did a lot of fun things there, gaming and whatnot. So I needed something compact that was equivalent, because I didn't want to stop doing those things, but I need something compact to do that. So the iPad of the iPad Pro, is that the big one?
Yes.
And then with the Apple Pencil and Procreate lets me and Procreate's a powerful program and it's amazing. I don't think I can even do it justice. You look on the work that you can do on there, the mediums and everything that are available. It's like working with watercolor, oil, pastel, any art medium you can think of, you can simulate it on Procreate. And again, it's on an iPad, weighs about 4 or 5 pounds. And, it's extremely amazing, accessible. You can use it anywhere as long as you have access to electricity and charge it. Again, if you have a power bank or charge somewhere that you have power, you can use that iPad anywhere. It's very versatile. How's the power work on the Kindle?
I think I just charged it yesterday.
How long does it usually last with reading?
I can't remember the last time I charged it.
Wow.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It's been at least a week or 2.
So off of one charge.
And I read every night, so.
How long does it take it to full charge?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not very long. I mean, at least a couple hours probably.
So
when it's dead.
We'll do some deep dives on these things that we're doing, ways that we're kind of entertaining and passing time and kind of making our life happen in here. Again, so things that you might be interested in is how long does it take to charge? And then how long do you get off of one charge? Yeah. Right?
I'm sure it doesn't draw very much power to charge it. Yeah. It can't draw that much.
Yeah. So the iPad, I mean, Procreate, unfortunately, is a huge power draw. But you can get some good substantial work done. And then if you have a couple of power banks available, you should be fine. You can plug up at Starbucks, charge your iPad for about half an hour, to an hour, and then be ready to go again. But again, so that's digital. And the computer, I went to a compact laptop, pretty pricey laptop. But again, I work on it. Yeah. I was doing school on it, definitely doing a lot of gaming, doing some art making on it. So it's got a pretty strong GPU, things like that. So it's everything I need that I had in my desktop, all compacted into a laptop. Yep. But it lets us do all these things. Yep. We can edit videos on it. We can record videos in 4K. So there's ways to make things that you do in sticks and bricks, kind of hobbies that you have, and bring it over to your... Our Wi-Fi connection is pretty solid, so I can do all the gaming that I was doing before. Yeah. Probably not the cutting edge stuff competitively. Maybe some lag. If I miss a shot, I got to blame my connection. It is what it is, right? Can't hit them all. But yeah, I still enjoy gaming just as much as I did. But also, I have brought some art mediums, and I'll definitely make more videos and content about that in the future, about how I go about actually making art, analog traditionally while living in the RV. I have a tote that I actually use kind of a footstool / bench next to the bed in there. When we do the tour, you'll see that. But inside, I've got all my art materials and sketchbooks and things like that. So I still going to do traditional media. Can't let that go. Definitely going to bring that with me. I'm looking forward to painting and drawing in some really remote and interesting places. Yeah. Doing some plein air there. But totally doable. Things that hobbies that we had, we're bringing them over into the RV with us. It was important that I mentioned things that we did separately, right? And it's important that I think that we mentioned doing things together, but also doing things, hobbies that we had, personal interests that we had on our own when we come into the RV. Yeah. We have found that it's possible to be in the same place, but doing separate things. Yes. We are together, but we're doing separate things, and we're comfortable with that. Yeah. Right? A lot of people ask me, what do you do when you just want to get away from people? Like, how do you do that in 250 square feet? What do you do when you want to get away from someone? I'm like, well, I just go do things that I enjoy. Right. I don't ever feel like I want to get away from you or anybody in here. I'm just not that kind of person. We're not those kind of people where we have to physically distance ourselves from people every now and again for whatever reason. Yeah. But I mean, again, if we needed to do that, we could just go outside. You could stay inside and do whatever you wanted to do. I can come outside and do whatever I wanted to do. Because we can, the hobbies that we have are transportable. I could go outside and do whatever I wanted, or opposite, you could come outside and do whatever you wanted. We don't need to do that, but we could. Yeah. It's definitely something that, we can do if we needed to. Cool. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. And the balance is important.
Yes. Very.
It was important to us to give our teenager her own space, because we knew that there's going to be moments where you just gotta be by your lonesome. Yeah. And when we were living in our sticks and bricks, it'd be unfair for us to ask her to be a totally different person. Right. If she's not the type of person that sits on the sofa around family, sits in the room, all the time, we can't make her become that person just because we moved into this RV. In our defense, she didn't do much with her giant room besides lay in bed, do Snapchat, and watch Netflix anyway. Yes. I mean, we can give you a bed in here where you can do all those same things. Yeah. So that's kind of our counter whenever she complains about not having enough space. I'm like, all the things you did in your big room, you can do right in that that space over there. But it's a pretty nice space. It is. But the mindset in that she's not the kind of person. And it's not fair to expect her to be. She's going to need, she does her own thing. Yes. And then when she is ready to come and engage with us, she does. She knows that she comes, and sometimes I come in and she's laying in my spot on my bed. I'm like, what are you doing? I want to lay down, get out, because she's in there having a conversation with you. Yeah. Or if we're out here relaxing in the evening, she'll come out and talk to us. When she's ready to engage, she does.
It's one of the things with teenagers, you can't force them to do anything. Yeah. So no, but she's a good kid. She comes out and she spends time with us when she wants to. But she does have her own space where she can do her own things. Exactly. And we have our own space where we can do our own things. So.
Yep. And then Maddie, of course, she doesn't it's not that she needs her own space. She just dominates everything. Whenever you're not using it, she uses everything.
Yes.
She uses all the space all the time, everywhere. If you're not using it, it's Maddie's space. Yes. It's Maddie's space until you need it.
Tell her it's not.
And then when you don't need it anymore, she reclaims it as her own and uses all the things.
Yes.
But just some little things that we did to kind of avoid some rough spots, and we went ahead and splurged a little bit and got a Switch Lite for you.
Yes.
Because Maddie does enjoy playing the Switch, and she has her own games that she wants to play when she's stuck inside. She loves her bike. Thus, for when she gets to an RV park,
first thing she does,
she gets on her bike, she goes cruise around, and she forms. See what kids are in the area. Yep. She forms the biker gang, and like we have to go out and find her when the sun goes down because she, that's how I grew up. Like parents go outside, and that's good, that's awesome. But sometimes she can't go outside, or we're in places where we're like, we don't need you on our. If we're making her stay inside, like we got to make it fun for her. Right. That's not fair, so. She has toys, she draws, things like that. But she really does enjoy playing on the Switch. Yes. And it's not like she veggies out in front of it all the time. Because again, if we gave her a choice to go out and sit outside and play Switch, I bet 9 times out of 10 she would choose to go outside. Yeah. That's the kind of kid that she is. So when she wants to play Switch and she's stuck inside, we want to make sure that she can play that when she wants to. But you also have game that you were enjoying on the Switch. So it's like this whole little conflict of interest.
I bought one of the Switch Lites.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little. I mean, it looks just like the Switch when it's not hooked up to the TV. It's a little. It's light, so
Yes,
it's not a whole lot of added weight. And so I bought that for me too, so that way I can play games. And she can have this. I mean, the Switch we play as a family, but it's mostly hers. Honestly,
yes, it is hers.
She gets all these games and she plays all these different games on there and stuff like that. We do play together, with certain games, but it's mostly hers.
And it's compact. And then we screen all the games that she's playing, and most of them don't even have online connections, so I'm not worried about all of that. And then another thing, we definitely invested in a good bit of headphones and AirPods.
Yes, everybody has their own set of AirPods.
And except Maddie.
Yeah,
right?
Well, she doesn't need it.
Yeah, so we pretty much put on the AirPods and AirPods to kind of block out Maddie, because again, she
uses the main TV. That's kind of her space. So she watches TV. So we just put our AirPods in. I know Peyton's in there probably watching something on her phone or her laptop. And then we can sit in our bedroom and watch something or whatever.
I'm some people are leery about the electronics and the games. I'm not. I grew up as a gamer. I love games. I believe they're absolute works of art. There's some things that I've encountered with gaming just on my own, and the experience that I've had with gaming, some choices that I've had to make just through the narrative introduced in the game that have been powerful moments that have caused me self-reflection. I know one game, Mass Effect in particular, you have to choose between the saving the one, that choice where you have to choose to save the one to sacrifice the one to save the many. And the story that led up to that decision, where you as a player had to make that decision and face those consequences in it, I'm like, that's awesome. You will never get that in a school experience. You won't. It's exclusive to the game experience. You won't even get it in a movie, because the outcome is dictated to you in a movie or in a book, unless you do choose your own adventure. They used to have those back in the day. But then if you cheated, you just go back and save your spot and go back to that choice.
It's cool too, because actually one of the homeschooling things that I have for our social studies, there's actually Minecraft in it, in the book. So that's an activity that she does every once in a while, where it has like a Minecraft activity. And so Minecraft is one of those games where it's a lot of critical thinking. You have to build and you have to get resources and stuff. And so she loves that game, and so we're full into that for her, because it gets a critical thinking skills. One of the ones she did recently was she had to build a farm, and she had to build it next to some water, and she had to irrigate to grow her crops, because we were learning about Mesopotamia and how they started farming and agriculture and stuff like that. So one of the activities was to build a farm and irrigate on the farm in Minecraft, and she had to do it herself.
That's awesome.
So it lined up with the activity that we were doing in her social studies to make her, have that full understanding of how that stuff works. So,
yes, definitely.
I like that.
Yeah, it's hand-eye coordination, the same skill that I'm teach in drawing. If someone doesn't ever learn how to become a master painter or master drawer, they will develop the skills of hand-eye coordination, because that's what drawing and rendering is.
Yeah.
Same thing with gaming, hand-eye coordination, right? Manipulating. So those are same thing a pro football player uses when they run down the field to catch a football. It's hand-eye coordination. You know, like, so those.
She actually pauses her games a lot too, and draws them. So that's it's interchangeable like that.
So that's just the argument for that side. There's tons of other arguments you can make. Some of my best friend before I met my wife, before I met Charlie, is my little sister. And some of the best memories that I have of her and I playing games together, like enjoying games and playing them hours on end together. So it's not really, we were playing the game, yes, but we were having this experience together, you know, playing the game, and me and my younger sister were tight. And I believe that our gaming together, among lots of other things that we did together, really bonded us. We definitely enjoyed playing video games together. I'm a huge gamer, support games. In moderation. Yes. Moderation is everything, right? I think right now we have a nice healthy balance of Maddie likes being outdoors, but she plays games, you know, healthy bit of it. And then also a lot of the issues that people have with games nowadays, I don't want to turn too much into gaming, but there's a rating system on it for a reason. A lot of the issues that people are having with games and how they're influencing kids is not the game's fault. Right. I'm not blaming parents, but there's a rating system on it for a reason. Right? If the game is rated for a teenager, don't give, you know, if it's rated for 17 plus, don't give it to the 10-year-old, right? You know, like there's, so that's a whole nother can of worms. Like I said, we believe everything with moderation, but I do believe gaming has a place as far as entertainment, healthy entertainment. And that's just something, again, it's compact, doesn't take a lot of weight, a little bit of a power draw. I mean, that goes help with moderation. Once the game is dead, you got to find other ways to entertain yourself. Right?
And she does. She has time limits on it too. Yeah. So once the time limit's up, she got to figure out something else. And she does. She really does. Like, she hardly ever is like, I want to do more, or have to do more. She is really good about,
once it's over, she does something else.
Figure out something else to the next
play. Thing. So again, we just wanted to share some things that we do when we're forced to stay inside of the Galactica that we do together, hobbies that we do separately that we transferred over from our sticks and bricks, living full time in the RV, and then why it's important to find balance between doing things together, but also maintaining your individual interests. Yes. So normally, this is the point in the episode where we would go to our Battlestar Galactica episode review. We're going to try something different for the next couple of episodes, where we'll make them as separate videos exclusively on our YouTube channel. Yes. There really is a heavy visual element to when we do these episode reviews, seeing the still shots and the clips that we pulled from the episode that I feel just aren't translating well.
Yeah, because I feel like we have to rush through it, like, toward the end, like, when we're talking about that. Because, I mean, we want to cover so much in these videos, but we also want to cover more. Certainly. In the Battlestar Galactica ones. Yeah. But it always feels really rushed. So
the content is fun to make, and there are people that enjoy it. I've been really pleased to find. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and just make that a separate video. And then, again, that'll give us the opportunity to maybe post more frequently. Hopefully. So those of you who want to catch up on our RV life can watch a video one week, and then maybe watch our Battlestar Galactica episodes review another week. You know, just get in, keep the content coming, and keep it interesting. As far as the podcast is concerned, we got some really interesting topics coming down the pike. One, the weather's finally getting cooler, so we can start actually doing our knowledge videos. Like, this is how you do this thing. I'm really excited to do our how to set up a campsite, how to hook up, how to unhook, how to dump your black tank. All that stuff's coming now that it's cooler weather. Those will be coming down the road. But also, I'm very, very excited about giving you, now that we're kind of settled in, getting everything where it needs to be, showing you the remodels and how we organize Galactica on the inside. So doing a video tour on the inside. And then another cool episode we've got coming, very, very special guest going to talk to us about unschooling. So if any of that content sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that notification bell so you know when a video is getting posted. And hopefully you'll join us for the next episode.
Hopefully.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our video channel and podcast. We've absolutely loved building connections with the RV community and anyone else that's interested in this lifestyle.
So if you'd like to connect with us, please follow us on Instagram and YouTube at So Say We Travel, or visit us at SoSayWeTravel.com.
See you down the road.